Sometimes we let time slip away from us. God says, take it back. Get it back. Redeem it. You need it. Redeem it. I want to share one more verse with you. You don't have to turn here, but a while ago I had you in James chapter number 4. When we talked about the life being as a vapor that appears for a little time and vanishes away, the very last verse of that chapter says, therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. All right, let me read that again, and let me put it in plain English. In case some of you can't understand the old authorized King James Version of the Bible, let me break that verse down a little bit for you. Therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. Did I change anything? No. Why? Because it's easy to understand it. It's easy to understand. If you know something's right and you don't do it, it's a sin. It's wrong. If you know time's running out on your life and you need to make the most of every single day and you don't do it, it's a sin. Well, what does that mean for me, preacher, to make the most of my time? I can't answer that for you. Because the answer would be different for each and every one of you. I do know this. I've got a lot of friends, people that I've known over the years, who have chosen to go away that I didn't choose to go. There's one guy I know right now who makes a ton of money. He spent probably 14, 15 years in the Army. He was a Special Forces soldier, and he had a lot of exceptional Special Forces combat training. He was offered a chance a few years ago to get out of the Army and go into a civil service position where he could actually teach what he had learned in the Army to other armies, i.e. in Afghanistan and Iraq and things like that, for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times what he was making. So this guy's overseas, making $250,000, $300,000 a year. Comes home a couple, 2 or 3 weeks, probably in the spring, and then a couple more weeks maybe in the fall. Sees his family. They do a lot of big ticket items. Go to Disney World. Take a 2-week cruise, whatever. And they spend every waking moment together for those couple of weeks. And he drops a ton of money on those trips. And then he's without his kids and without his wife for 6, 8 more months. I ask you, do you think he's redeeming the time? Not to me. Not to me, that's not redeeming the time. See, things will come and things will go. Possessions will come and possessions will go. He will never, ever, ever be able to raise his kids. He'll never be able to get that. He'll never be able to raise his children. His children are raised by someone else. He'll never be able to get the time back he lost with his wife and with his kids. That's gone. He thinks he's happy. He loves his life. He loves the way things are. They don't fight. They don't fuss. They don't argue. They never miss anything from a monetary standpoint. They got all they need. At least they think they do. I've never really had a whole lot. I couldn't take a 2-week cruise vacation if I wanted to. To be honest with you, I couldn't take a 2-day vacation. Just don't have it. But I was able to coach my kids when they were growing up playing ball. I was able to be there for them when they went on a field trip here, or did something over here, or was in a play over here. We never really had a whole lot, but I felt like I redeemed a lot more time with my friend who's over in Afghanistan right now. Making money, missing his family. I feel like if you put those two side by side, I've redeemed more time than he's redeemed on the things that are important. How do you spend your time? I said what I said at the very beginning of this for a reason. The days seem long, but the years are very, very short. We can get lost in the length of our days sometimes, and before we know it, we've lost way, way too many of them. We can get lost in working those long days. We can get lost in loafing those long days. Wasting them. Before we know it, they're gone and we can't get them back. Before we know it, hundreds of them are gone. Thousands of them are gone. And we look back and we think, what in the world happened all the time? I wish I could get that back. I wish I could get those years back. I wish I could get that crucial point in my child's life or my family, or I wish I could get that back. How do we spend the time that we spend? Do we truly redeem the time? If we know that everything that will define us is on that line, on that little bitty dash, how do we spend the time as we walk along that little dash right now? Because that's what people will say about us when we're gone. If any books are to be written about us when we're gone, that's what the books will contain, what happened on that little dash. It was no great accomplishment when we were born, even though to our parents it was a pretty big deal. It was no great accomplishment the day that we were born, and it will be no great accomplishment the day that we die. The great accomplishments happen on that dash. And the things that people say about us will not be said because of the date of our birth or the date of our death, but only because of every day in between. And every one we waste is one we can't get back. I want to read something to you, if I can find it. I read it a couple of weeks ago, or maybe sometime last week. I read it sometime last week. Let me see if I can find it in one of my old emails, because I feel like you guys deserve to hear this. We have a habit of seeing our lives as occasions to be put out by doing things that we don't really want to do, or people we don't really want to do with. And so we tend to push aside opportunities that we have and replace them with things that we want to do, but they're not nearly as important as if we stepped outside of what we wanted to do and done something for someone else that may have made us uncomfortable, may have not made us as fulfilled at the time, but then we look back and realize what an impact it made on someone else's life. Let's see if I can find this thing right here. A man stricken with years makes his way up to the attic, brushes the dust off of some old boxes, takes the lid off of one labeled photo albums. His wife, long deceased, had meticulously kept records of their relationship together, their marriage, their children, their vacations. As he picked up one photo album after the other, looking for one specific picture of the woman that he loved, he brought out a dust-covered journal which belonged to his now-grown son. He opened up the journal and wiped the dust off the pages and began to flip through and see the things that his son had written while growing up day after day after day. Then this man remembered that he too had kept a business journal. He went to a cabinet inside of his office, took out the journal, leather bound, monogrammed, unlocked it and opened it up and began to compare the pages of his journal to the pages of his son's journal. Day after day he would read what he did versus what his son did. On one particular day, he read his business journal entry. It said, wasted the whole day fishing with Mark. Didn't catch a thing. The same entry for the same day on his son's journal said, went fishing with my dad. Best day of my life. How do we spend the moments that God gives us? That's a dash moment. That he thought he was wasting. And when it's put into perspective, it very possibly could have shaped what his son became. I think we fail to see just how important the moments of our life are. The investment that we make in our family, our children. One day is too much to waste. 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, too much to waste, because we can never, ever, 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 ever get it back. The principles in Scripture are placed there for us to understand that there are more important things than us. In the grand scheme of things, when we see the plan unfolding before us that God has in each life, we can only see the puzzle piece that we make up. What we can't see is the whole puzzle. But God has already designed the puzzle. He's cut out each and every piece, and He's wanting to place you in the shape that you're in, into the place that He designed for you. We don't see the big picture, but God does. We don't see the investment we make in other people's lives, but God sees it, and the lives of the people we invest in are changed forever when we choose to take every single moment that we have and invest it wisely. Does that mean we never take a vacation? No, of course, that's not what I'm trying to say. Does it mean we never have any leisure time? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Does it mean we never relax or have any hobbies? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, we don't need to be selfish in the way we ride along this little dash. It's more than just us. It's more than goofing off. It's more than playing games. It's more than simply having hobbies all the time. And it's also more than working ourselves to death and never having time for the ones that God has put in our life so that we can invest in. We're almost ready to close. I want to do something. Kyle, will you do me a favor? Come up here. Look on this MP3 player and see if you can find. Stop tripping. Look on this MP3 player and see if you can find. Go to Artist and look for Mark Harris. See if you can find Mark Harris. See if there's a CD on there called The Line Between the Two. I want to read something to you guys. And if he can find that song, I want to play it for you in a way of closing today. But I want to read the words to you. I want you to hear. It's called The Line Between the Two. Is it on there? Just get it ready, but don't play it yet. I want to read something to you guys. I heard this song years and years ago. I want to read some words to you. It goes a little something like this. A beginning and an ending dates upon a stone, but the moment in the middle is how we will be known. Because what defines us can be found within a line, finding reason for our time. Will I walk straight? Will I be true? Will I finish strong? Will I stand up for the moment when I could right a wrong? Because the legacy we have will never change. It's how we spend our days. And the years go by, how they seem to fly. They'll all be over soon. When our life is done, did we live and love the way we wanted to? Because every day that we leave behind goes on to tell the truth of how we live in the line between the two. And at the end, it has a really cool tag at the end. I could live a life for just myself, or I could live a life for someone else. But I'll live and die just to hear you say, well done, my son. Come and be with me. I want you to listen to the words of this song.